Hi, my name is Jay Batson. I'm a senior engineer with Greenlight Group, and today I'm going to show you how to create a custom template for certificates for remote Vpro activation.
Okay, so we're going to look at how to create the certificates needed for SCCM to provision Vpro based machines. So the first thing we need to take a look at is the step-by-step right here that Microsoft has. Go and take a look at this address right here and get a screenshot of that, because this article is pretty much what we're going to go through right here. So here is the certification authority. So what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and create a couple of templates and issue those so that the SCCM server can use those. So right click here and go to manage, and then here we have our templates. So these two templates are based on the web server template, so what we're going to do is just right click and duplicate this template. Be sure to choose server 2003, do not choose server 2008. And we can go ahead and name our this is going to be the provisioning certificate. This is the certificate that begins the authentication process between the SCCM server and the Vpro based machine. So we'll just call this config mgr provisioning. And that's all we need to do on this tab. The next tab for request handling, the minimum key size cannot be bigger than 2048, and we want the allow private key to be exported. Subject name is going to be built from Active Directory, and the format is going to be the the common name. Now all of these steps are in that article, so if I go a little bit quick, you can go ahead and review that. Server, we don't need to do anything on. Security, we want to remove enroll for domain admins and enterprise admins. Now previous to this, one thing that the article does have you do is create a group that we're going to assign the permissions for the SCCM server. Instead of assigning this the permissions to the server itself, that's just Microsoft's best practices. So I believe we called it config manager out of band service points. So we'll go ahead and add that, and we need enroll allowed for that group. Now our SCCM server is already in this group. If you create this group new and go ahead and do this, you're going to have to reboot that SCCM server so that it gets the new permissions that it has with the certificate. Extensions. Now this is where people kind of get messed up. The way that the Vpro machine validates that the certificate that is being presented is in fact, for the purpose of provisioning a certificate, is the ID, one of the OIDs in the certificate. So we're going to go ahead and add that. So make sure application policies is chosen. Server authentication is good. We're going to want that in here. So we'll click edit and then add. Now you can see we already have AMT provisioning here, but the first time you do this, you want to click new and create this. So we'll just call it AMT2 provisioning, and the OID that we put here is right here in this article. Now this comes from Intel, so we'll take this copy. Again, this is hard-coded into the Vpro machine, so it looks for this specific OID, and this is documented here and on Intel's website. So back here, and put in our OID. Okay. So it's giving me an error. Okay, so this OID has already been used, of course, right here. So we'll just go ahead and cancel this. But that's how you would put that in there. So we'll just go ahead and choose this and OK. And now we've got AMT provisioning and server authentication, which is what we want. And that's how that will look. That's all we need there. Superseded templates and issuance requirements are not needed. We'll go ahead and click apply, then OK. And we now have our misspelled configuration provisioning ticket certificate. The next thing we need to have now, when SCCM provisions a machine, it uses the provisioning certificate to verify its identity to the Vpro machine that it's okay to provision that machine. The next thing that's going to happen, because SCCM forces TLS, we have to have a certificate that's placed on the Vpro machine. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate the web server template again. Again, server 2003 only, do not choose 2008. And we're just going to call this the config manager web server certificate. There's a lot less to this one. So we have our name here. Request handling, we don't need to do anything with. Subject name, I believe, is going to be built by Active Directory. Supplied, not supplied in the request. And security, again, we just need to remove enroll for enterprise admins and add our config manager. Now in this case we're going to add config manager primary site servers, and in the step-by-step Microsoft has you run through, they just have you create two groups, because theoretically you could have two different servers, one hosting the out-of-band management point and one is your primary site server. So we'll go ahead and choose this. In my development environment, that's the same server, so it could work either way. It just depends on how you have your environment set up. And once we have that in here, we want read, enroll, and auto enroll. And that's pretty much it for that one. So that template's a lot simpler, because it really is going to be just a web server certificate that's placed on the Vpro machine. So now that we have these two certificates, templates ready to go, we close this and we go to new certificate template to issue, and we want to issue our certificates. So there they are, they're ready to go. And that part is complete. Now we need to get these certificates over to the SCCM server. Let's go ahead and get on over there. So the first thing we'll need is to enroll the SCCM server in the provisioning certificate. So here's our local certificates. We want local computer. This is just the MMC snap-in. And we'll go ahead and go to all tasks and request new certificate. Okay, you can see the certificates that are available to this server. So we want the config manager AMT provisioning certificate. We'll enroll on that. And we are succeeded, so we'll finish that. And now we see, oh, it's there 2 times. Just want to make sure the intended purpose has this AMT provisioning, because that means it has that correct OID in there. So what we want to do is go ahead and export this. We want to export the private key, include all certificates in the path, put our password on here, Let's just put this on our desktop here. Okay, so that's successful. Now we need to import this into SCCM so that it will present it to the AMT machines when they try to be provisioned. So in our console, we come to site database, site management, our site, in this case is Greenlight Group, and come down to component configuration, out of band management. So we'll double click on that. So a couple things we'll need to set up here. You'll need an OU, an Active Directory, to put the Vpro objects. Basically, they're just computer objects that SCCM uses for a different purpose. They're not actually computer accounts, they're just Vpro objects, but they look like computer accounts. So you don't want to put these in the same OU as where you actually have your computer accounts. Right here where our certificates are at, this is where we get those certificates taken care of. So the provisioning certificate is that one that we just exported. So we'll click Browse and go to our desktop here. So there's our certificate, and we'll put in our password. Okay, then the next certificate we need to do is the web server certificate that gets issued to the Vpro machine. So we choose our CA that's going to have that on there, and then choose the web server certificate that we created, which is AMT Web Cert, and click OK. And there's some other documentation on Microsoft's website about the other settings in here, but for the most part, that's how you get the certificates taken care of. Again, just to repeat, there are two certificates that SCCM requires: the provisioning certificate, which initially allows the authentication to take place between the SCCM server and the Vpro based machine. Then the second certificate, after authentication has taken place and the Vpro based machine trusts the SCCM server, the SCCM server will then go to the certificate authority and request that web server certificate that we created and place it on the Vpro machine. So after the Vpro machine is provisioned, you will have to use HTTPS in order to get to the web server that's on the AMT machine, and also all communication between the Vpro machine and SCCM is encrypted. Let's apply OK here, and you're ready to start provisioning your Vpro based machines. Thanks for watching.